Boston. That guy right there, Jason Tatum, my goodness, was he good yesterday.
What a role he has been on, and when he gets it flowing from the three, now he's basically unguardable because he gets into his mid-range game, he can finish, but he was feeling it from deep. Boston rolling.
Yeah, later in the fourth now. Nets are down 8, and that's where we're going to pick it up. And it's Durant here. Mid-range jumper. That's going to fall. Durant trying to keep the Nets in this thing. Nets possession, rather. Durant, another mid-range shot. That's going to go. Durant just trying to do it. He would finish with 37 points. Less than 3 to play. Celtics leading by 1. Again, Tatum fighting the double team. Nice look there. Tatum has 47 points. Just under 2 minutes left at this point. And again, the Nets still struggling to catch up to the Celtics. Kyrie Irving here. Drives, pumps, hits the mid-range fadeaway. Irving would finish with 19 points, but it was not enough. Celtics now 1:30 remaining. Celtics leading by 1. Tatum with the ball. Lovely. Tatum would finish with 54, and he ties Larry Bird for the most 50-point games in C's history. Celtics win it.
It's easy to be concerned. It's easy to be worried and pissed off and mad. It's easy to do that. We could point fingers and, blame our season on other things, but let's just go play. We got another game. We got 17 more, and let's see what happens.
All right, 17 more doesn't seem like a lot of time to Legler for them to finish this out. The Nets are 1 game under 500 through 65 games. Are you panicking?
No, not at all, because no team has dealt with more, and they have that guy. And I was watching the game yesterday thinking to myself, Kevin Durant's the only guy in the league that can make the claim that at no point can you force the Nets into a bad possession if he's on the floor, because there's no shot that's unmakeable. There's no shot that he can take that you think is a low percentage shot. And he virtually is the only offensive player in the NBA you can say that about, because of some guys have physical restrictions with their size. Some guys you can force to a weakness for them. That's not the case with Kevin Durant. He answers so many different things, and now you get him back. Kyrie Irving, at some point, they're hoping is going to be able to play. Ben Simmons, even though he's under a lot of pressure, you think about the value that he's going to add to this team once he gets there. I look at this team and say they added 3 starters at the trading deadline. They just got Kevin Durant back. They're waiting to get Kyrie Irving back. They don't have Ben Simmons, a 2-time All-Star, who has seen the floor yet. There's still so much more there for the Nets, and they have Kevin Durant. That's why I still believe they can be a real legitimate threat in terms of coming out of the Eastern Conference.
Okay, so yesterday, Woj reported that we don't know when Ben Simmons is going to return to this team. It's not going to be before Thursday when they have to face the 76ers. And so I know you talked about Kevin Durant now being back in full, but the reality is, since he's returned from injury, they're 0-2. Do they have enough time to get this figured out once Simmons does return?
Yeah, I think they do, because the thing about Ben Simmons, you're not going to worry about a disruption to your offense. And that's what typically you would worry about in something like this. He's not a ball-dominant player in terms of getting his own shot. He's going to create pace. But more importantly, I watched the game yesterday. I'm watching Jason Tatum do his thing, and I'm saying, they got Bruce Brown on him. Very good defender. Bruce Brown's my size, 6'4". That's not long enough for Jason Tatum. They had Seth Curry on him quite a bit there down the stretch. Not big enough. You look at Ben Simmons, that's exactly the kind of player that you get Ben Simmons for, to guard a Jason Tatum. And it's not just Tatum. It's if you play the Heat, you need somebody to guard Jimmy Butler. That's Ben Simmons. If you play a team like Milwaukee, Chris Middleton and Giannis. If you play a team like Philly, and let's pray we get Brooklyn and Philly at some point in the postseason, he's going to, believe it or not, guard James Harden, which would be the dream matchup we'd all want to see.
Yeah.
But that's what you get with Ben Simmons. He's one of the top defensive players in the league. He's 6'10". He can guard any perimeter player, hound, harass, contest, make them less efficient. They didn't have it yesterday. Tatum goes for 54. So yes, Ben Simmons adds value immediately. Despite all of the things you want to say about him and all the pressure he's under, he will do that immediately.
Okay, let's just say this, though. If the Hawks win today against the Pistons, the Nets are going to slide to 10th in the East. That's not a good scenario with 17 games left. We don't know when Ben Simmons is coming back. And yet again, we're talking about chemistry with the Brooklyn Nets. And so you're not panicking, I know, but how many games is enough to build some chemistry with this big three when they're ready?
Well, listen, we don't know about Kyrie yet as far as playing at home. So let's just say he plays road games the rest of the year. That's fine. If he can play all of those, if you give this team 8 to 10 games together at the end of the year, it's going to be enough. Because you got to remember, they also just added 2 other starters in this trade. Seth Curry and Andre Drummond, they're just learning how to play with the new guys. They haven't really learned at all how to play with Kevin Durant. So to me, this is the one team I look at in the East, and I would say Golden State's the one team in the West because they haven't had Draymond. Klay Thompson is not close to what he needs to be. James Wiseman is around the corner. Andre Iguodala is coming back. So when I look at Golden State, I look at Brooklyn, I say those are the two teams that still have the most left we haven't seen on the table yet. And that's why I'm not panicking about Brooklyn. Clearly, you don't want to be in a play-in because now you're leaving it up to one night somebody has a bad shooting game, foul trouble, a bad call, you name it. Now all of a sudden it's in someone else's hands and you're going home. So you don't want to be in that scenario. But if they are, and they have 8-10 games under their belt at the end of the season, and they've got Kevin Durant, I still think the Brooklyn Nets are going to get out of the play-in. And now it's somebody at that top of that East to get this team as an 8 seed or a 7 seed. It's almost unfair to think that that's what you would end up having to play.
All right, good. You mentioned the Warriors. We'll talk more about them later. Tim Legler, thank you so much for the time. All right, let's turn to the NFL because yet again, here we are talking about Aaron Rodgers, awaiting the decision of one Aaron Rodgers. We are 1 day away from the NFL franchise tag deadline and must also decide on the future of their star wide receiver, and that would be Davante Adams. So where is Rodgers, you might ask, on a day like today, 1 day away from the... Oh, there he is. That's Aaron Rodgers. He's in Santa Barbara. Why not? To officiate the wedding of Packers offensive lineman David Bakhtiari. Matt LaFleur reportedly also in attendance. This is what we're doing at such a critical time like this during the NFL offseason. And so let's talk about Rodgers because that's what we do here, right? We have to discuss what is going on. I know you were at the Combine all week, Fowler. Do we have any sort of timetable or understanding when Aaron Rodgers is going to make a decision?
Well, we got the 36-hour window before Davante Adams needs to be franchise tagged, so that's sort of an artificial deadline. But here's what I'm hearing. The Green Bay Packers have made a significant offer to Aaron Rodgers to keep him long term. That could be like a 3 to 4 year deal to potentially spread out the cap hit. Now, the Packers are all in on doing this. There's some other teams that are lurking that have inquired. Denver Broncos are one. No firm decision from Rodgers. Packers still have no desire to trade Rodgers. In fact, I talked to a source who said that Rodgers might even need to retire if he wants to be traded because of all that the Packers are going to want. They would probably want not only premium picks, but potentially some young, good players on rookie contracts that would cripple the team acquiring Rodgers.
So he would have to walk away to kind of get what he wants ultimately, which I know is something that he doesn't want to do, but we will find out, of course, in a little bit later. 36 hours, not a lot of time. So we'll obviously be keeping a close eye on this as we always do. But at this point now, it feels a little selfish, doesn't it? Because we're sitting up here talking every single day about the decision of Aaron Rodgers, and every day that passes, it angers me more and more. Dan, does it feel selfish from your vantage point that Rodgers has not yet made a decision?
No, absolutely not. Two things before I get into my answer. Number one, Aaron Rodgers and I were drafted the same year, and we both have officiated weddings. And then two, Dom, fix your left collar. I can't let my boy be on television like this with the collar coming over the top. Fix it for me, please. Let's be an adult.
Don't worry about it. When you got a face like this, no one's looking at the collar. It's the thing that you wouldn't understand.
Not in a good way. I don't think this is selfish at all. I'll push back on my